Something very interesting because in America, anyway, we have to be more choice and better networks have better answers. How do we, and when you look outside of New York and Washington, you have more people using the awake mentality, which I don't know, so I'm going to ask some people and find out. And then you have people with power that have the sort of asleep mentality, which is I know, do this or the world will end, whatever that may be. Why is there such a distinction between the behavior of those who don't know, who are awake, and the warrior nature of those in power that are so sound asleep and certain that it's their way or the death of the universe?
Well, I fully agree with you that there are these two ways of being, but I'm not sure that I would say that outside of the Beltway and
Fair enough. But the asleep, I would say the asleep behavior is more dangerous in the Beltway than it occurs because it has more power.
That's right. The normal state of affairs is to be certain of what you believe. My research as a social psychologist was to give people moral judgment scenarios, give them things that sort of felt weird or wrong, like using your nation's flag to clean your bathroom. People say, no, that's terrible. Why is it wrong? Well, someone might be offended if they saw it. Well, what if nobody sees it? Well, when you feel that something's wrong, you just make up reasons for why it's wrong. Reasoning evolved not to find the truth. We're not very good at finding the truth once we care about the outcome. Reasoning evolved to find justifications. We're great at that. So we all use our reasoning to find justifications, and we tend to hang around with people who will support those. We don't like to be around people who won't. So you all share your justifications. You all become, well, it's not just me. Everybody believes this. Everybody who's decent believes this. And you become tribal creatures, unable to understand. The only
So how do you break that? How do you take it from that asleep state where we all know that we know, you and I know, we both know, in fact, we'll go to war.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you right now, I know, to that awake state which says, I don't know. And now when I use these new tools that are available, there's these networks and these high-quality networks to answer those questions. How do you catalyze those sorts of changes?
There are two basic ways to catalyze those changes. One is the one that's used in most religious conversions, and that is something happens, you feel you're visited by God, or you take LSD or mushrooms. What you're describing is this awakening. Everybody uses that metaphor. Somehow you have a spiritual awakening, and one of the aspects of that always is deep humility. People suddenly realize, oh my God, I've been acting like I knew everything all along, and now I know that I was ignorant all along. So I'm not sure.
That's one version of the awakening.
Yeah, we could perhaps put LSD in the water supply, but short of that, the basic psychological problem here is called the confirmation bias. That we're really, really good. We use our reasoning just to confirm what we already believe, and the only known cure for confirmation bias is other people. So when you mention networks, that's the answer. That's a lot easier than putting LSD in the water supply. You got to be in networks where other people can disconfirm your biases, because you can't do it. You cannot look for evidence that disconfirms your beliefs. Only others can. And if you have friends who do that, then you can listen to them. It's just strangers on the internet who'll blow them off.
So it sounds like the key to managing to be more awake at any given day, at any given decision, is to surround yourself with diverse people who are not necessarily going to agree with you before you make a decision. Am I interpreting that correctly?
That's correct. We have all this discourse about diversity, especially in the academic world, because diversity has all these benefits. You know what? Racial diversity, gender diversity, this is trivial compared to intellectual and ideological diversity. If people be exposed to others and have relationships with them and dine with them and have friendship networks, then you can get good thinking. Because each individual is really not all that smart. We're kind of like neurons. A neuron's a very simple little thing that isn't very smart in itself. When you put them all together in the right way, you get a brain, and brains are really smart.
But you said something very interesting, because in America, anyway, we define diversity as sexual bias, gender bias, and racial identity. And if I have a few women, some gay people, a Hispanic guy, an African American, a Chinese woman, an Indian guy, and an American, now I got diverse. I get a gold star for diversity. They might all think the exact same thing about everything. And I've got gold stars for diversity. You're saying that we have to take diversity in our networks beyond, and that's not to discount the obvious import of equality that's represented by the aspiration to that network and to the reality and the necessity of that network. But what you're suggesting is that we actually need a new definition of diversity. Can you describe what you mean?
Exactly. So diversity is a great example of sort of post hoc justification. diversity, as you described it, grows out of the struggle for social justice and equal rights. A very noble struggle, a very successful struggle. I'm
Ongoing.
right. But what happened, I think, was 1978, the Bakke decision, the Supreme Court decision, said you cannot have affirmative action based on race except under very, you can't have quotas. But you can juggle the numbers if it achieves diversity.